Hello buddy and welcome to Chatmate. My name is Niels and in today's video we're going to take a look at another game of Paul Morphy. And this time we're going to witness a clash of generations between Paul Morphy and his uncle Ernest Morphy. And this game features an interesting opening choice from Ernest Morphy, which is called the classical defense of the Rouleau-Pes with bishop c5. And this game will feature an interesting concept of weak squares and of course, like in every Morphy game, sacrificing a lot of pieces. And if you're interested in seeing more of that, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell to miss nothing in the future. So let's dive into the game. So the game starts off with the move e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, and now comes the move that I already mentioned in the beginning, it's bishop c5. So we have the classical defense of the Rouleau-Pes. And this is not that common nowadays, because I think that white wants to go c3 and d4, yes, so or so. And this bishop c5 just invites this pawn push in the center for white. But okay. Morphy goes for c3 as mentioned. That is a good plan for the white side. And now we have the first inaccuracy of the game. We have queen e7, and queen e7 really doesn't accomplish that much. Okay, it protects e5 and this bishop, but I feel like it's a bit too slow, and just developing, for example, a knight would have been better, or maybe going for something like d6 or something like that. But okay. Morphy goes for castles, just getting the king into safety, and now we have knight f6. And here Morphy goes for his plan with d4. He strikes in the center, tries to open up things as the black king is still uncastled, and we have bishop b6. Now we have bishop g5, just pinning this knight here, so it cannot move. Yeah, black goes for h6. And here is where the second inaccuracy, or maybe the first big blunder of the game, happens after bishop takes f6. Because with black now you have two choices. You can either take with the g-pawn or you can take with the queen, and one of them is really bad. And you're more than welcome just to see if you can find the best reply here for black, or if you made the same mistake that Ernest did in the game. So I give you a couple of seconds. So, as you probably guessed, the right move here is queen f6. The most natural move is sometimes, and most of the times, also the best. And Ernest went for this g takes f6. And this is now problematic for black. Because now you can go d5, and this is what Morphy did in the game. And you see the problem with taking with the g-pawn is now that this queen is not on f6, which means that the knight cannot go to e7. So let's take a look at this variation with queen takes f6. If here d4, you can play knight e7. And with knight e7, this knight is a bit more flexible. Maybe it can go to g6 in the future and there reroute. It's a much better square for the knight. But by taking with the g-pawn and now d5, this knight has no real square that is good for it. Both b and d8 is not so good. But Ernest went for knight d8. So yeah, but you can just see how bad this knight is here. So this square will be unreachable in the near future. These squares as well because of the pawn. And of course, this f7 square is also not available for the knight. So it will take a lot of time to get this knight back into the game. Another problem with this move, g takes f6, is now that this weak f5 square for white became open. And Morphy goes immediately for it. So we have knight h4, trying to go knight f5 in the future. And now we have c6. So black just tries to get his pieces into the game. Maybe if white captures, then we can recapture with the knight. But first knight f5. Hitting the queen with tempo, so we have queen c5. And now Morphy goes for another Morphy move and offers a clear, a sacrifice for his uncle. He goes b4. And b4 again attacks the queen, and this bishop could be taken. But you probably can see what happens if black captures the bishop. Because after queen takes b5, we get knight d6. And now king and queen are hit simultaneously. And this is, of course, not good for black. This is why Ernest went for queen f8. And now Morphy went for d takes c6. And d takes c6 is not that optimal, because now as this pawn is not protecting e6 anymore, you kind of open up that possibility for the knight in the future. But we had d takes c6. By the way, I also looked at knight takes c6 if you're wondering why that isn't happening in the game. Then we get knight a3. And yeah, it's already really hard to play a move here with black. The engine actually wants to sacrifice a pawn with d5, but let's say you play bishop c7, maybe, normal looking move. Then we get knight c4, and you can see that the square here on d6 is a massive weakness in the black camp, and this is probably just resignable. Maybe let's say a6, then of course knight c to d6, and this is horrible. I mean, after takes, what do you want to play here for with black? Your structure is completely messed up. This knight is a monster here. It takes a look at so many of these weak squares in the black camp. After you reroute the bishop or maybe even take on c6, you can bring in the rooks. This is not playable. Instead, Ernest went for d takes c6. After that, we have still knight to d6 with a check. So we have king e7. And after king e7, Morphy went for queen d3. And queen d3 is one of these typical Morphy moves. He just gives up the bishop entirely here after queen d3. And his uncle accepts the bishop. So we have c takes b5. And if you're interested, you can try to find why this move doesn't really work for black pieces. And I will give you a couple of seconds again. If you found this move, I think you're a really good player, because I didn't really see the idea when I looked at this game the first time. So the move is knight takes c8. And knight takes c8, of course, comes with check. So we have to play rook c8. Every other move doesn't really work because you just lose a piece in that way. And the idea of going queen d3 is to get this nice square here on d1 for the rook. So we have rook d1. And now the idea of this whole bishop sacrifice becomes crystal clear. Morphy uses this weak d-file to launch an attack on the black king. So the only real good move that black here had was going actually to go bishop d4 and just sacrifice the bishop to even lock up the structure here. And Ernest went for the second best move, which is queen g7. You have to make a nice square for the king to run to. So let's say you play something like h6 in that position, a6, excuse me. Then of course queen d7 is checkmate, because now the king cannot go to f8. So this is why queen g7 is the second best option for black. But even here we get this queen d7 with check, king f8, and now after queen takes c8, Ernest Morphy resigned the game, as it's pretty much resignable anyway. I mean, what do you want to play here for? Again, if you play something like, I just make a stupid move again, you play a6, then of course rook d8, bishop d8, and queen d8 is checkmate again, because the king now again has no squares to go to. And you have to find a plan here somehow. And yeah, first of all, you have to clear up this g7 square. So maybe go with queen g5. And after that, white can develop normally. For example, play g3, make some love for the king, go knight a3, and reroute and try to get some of these queenside pawns, or maybe even launch an attack with some rook maneuvers in the future. And this is not really playable for black. This rook is really not participating in the game, and the pawn structure itself is completely messed up for black. So it's completely understandable that, also with keeping in mind that Morphy already had more material than his uncle that he resigned. Yeah, so if you're interested in seeing more of this content in the future, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.